Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Robert Schmid, also known as Mr. IoT. I am the Chief IoT Technologist for Deloitte with a deep passion for all things digital. This week on Coffee with Mr. IoT, I'm talking with Victor Berrios, the CTO of Zigbee, and we're going to just talk about connected devices. Victor, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Robert. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
This is like the third day we're seeing each other this week after we were together earlier this week at one of your Zigbee events.
That's correct, Rob. Yeah, we're becoming regular fixtures in our lives here this week. Yeah, we were our Hive industry conference. It's the second year that the Zigbee Alliance have put together this get-together, basically, of industry players in the IoT. Not just Zigbee Alliance members, but other standards organizations and other companies that may or may not be members of any of those. But basically just companies that participate actively in the IoT, just to look at challenges that the industry is facing and how can we together as a community address those just to make the smart home a better experience for everybody.
Maybe we start off with the basics, Victor. What is Zigbee? And I mean, for the ones who haven't looked at boxes at Home Depot or Lowe's or anything lately, what is Zigbee?
So the Zigbee Alliance is a standards development organization. We were founded back in 2002 by some visionary companies that in the open market, they competed with each other, but understood that for the connected devices, and back then there was no IoT, right? It was the connected sensor network. For everybody to have an opportunity to succeed, the way that these devices talk to each other has to become standardized so that your devices can talk to mine and we can compete then on the quality of and the capabilities of the devices, not how they connected to each other. So the Alliance was put together with the mission basically to foster and be the location where a variety of companies can come together, contribute to that common layer of communication between devices, and foster that and push that to be implemented, universally across devices. So through the years, obviously, we have developed networking standards, application level standards that we have put out and our members are using in their products. And we also manage a certification program to validate that our members are faithfully implementing what the specification requires. And when you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or the Apple Store or any other retailer or online, you can look for those devices that have the red Z logo that says Zigbee certified product, that they know that these have been going through our process, and then you have a pretty good expectation or a well-founded expectation that they will work with each other.
So, if I go to buy a light switch, an outlet, and a hub, and they all have Zigbee on it, they'll work together and they'll talk to each other.
Yes.
Awesome.
And that's pretty much what I do normally in my house. I am not, it just comes with the territory. I'm not faithful to a particular hub or a particular app or an ecosystem. I pick pieces from all of them for a multitude of reasons. Number one, I think that allows me to pick and choose the products that I think are going to work best in my house. But second, to, just as an extra check to make sure that in fact all these products are delivering on the promise of the Alliance, so that if there's anything there, we can fix it. I'm also, I'm old school. I like shopping online, but sometimes I like to go and touch a product. So, I got a Home Depot and Lowe's pretty close. I can go in and touch the sensor, look at the outlets, make sure the shading will work with the color scheme in the house, and then pick those up. But yes, I pretty much have a Frankensteinian type of IoT implementation that is not faithful to one, but I do leverage the fact that these things will interoperate with one another.
What does the house of a Zigbee CTO look like? I'm just curious how tech-enabled your house is.
I'm pretty well connected. Basically, all of my outdoor lighting is completely automated. I have them synced to the Naval Observatory clock so that every day at the official sundown, the lights go on, and in the mornings at official dawn, the lights go off. So I don't have to deal with particular timings. And, in the winter, you don't have your lights coming in after it's been dark for 3 hours. It's always adjusted. I have connected cameras, checking the people that come into the door, but checking the entire perimeter, temperature sensors around the whole house. so I can properly manage my thermostats. Obviously, I got leak detectors in all the possible areas where leaks could be detected as well. I obviously have a variety of voice assistants that I'm not going to mention the names because they're here in the office, and then you'll hear them, answering back to me. Connected speakers as well. Obviously, the entertainment system is fully connected, and laptops for all the children and everything all over the house. So I got devices all over the place.
So I'm dying to say now, hey Google, who is Victor Berrios?
Google is in the living room. I have the other lady here.
The other lady here. Okay, that's funny. So Victor, you talked about, we met this week with, and there were many of your, by the way, we had this whole conversation. It was interesting to me. I asked at the very beginning, how many people have more than 50 devices in their house? And there were actually quite a few hands going up. So, I thought it was interesting to think that we now have as many as 50 devices in our life that are all connected. And to be frank, I don't think people actually knew exactly how many there are. Do you think that's a problem? Do you think that's part of the time now? We all get more and more connected and it becomes sort of ambiguous. We don't even know anymore that we're connected.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. It's become so ubiquitous that anything we buy now, it's like, oh yeah, it's connected. I can control it from my phone. I can control it from my computer, from tablet devices or anything like that. And then, we do it in ones or twos, right? Or sets of 3, sets of 4. And next week I do more, and next year I do a few others. That then when somebody like you comes in and asks, okay, give me a number, you have to go back and start thinking, okay, how many are in the security system, and how many dots do I have around the house, and all these other things, because it's no longer this big, right, do-it-yourself project that we say, okay, I'm going to get this box, this kit, I'm going to install it, spend a weekend working on it. Now I just get one, get two, get the other thing, and it just keeps growing organically.
Interoperability was a big conversation for us this week, right? This was our number one topic we started with, and then we had cloud, and then we had security. What's your take on interoperability? How far have you gotten with the Zigbee Alliance? What's working, and where do you think we still have a way to go?
I think, over the years, I have, sort of morphed my opinion into interoperability to the point that I think it's a journey, right? It's not a destination, right? It's like light is not particles, it's a wave, and that whole a little bit more deep and scientific thing. Because I think when you achieve a rest stop or a milepost in the interoperability journey, then you figure out it's like, oh wait, we can actually go further and go further and go further. Again, when we were first started back in 2002. The immediate mission was, hey, we need a common network, right? We need to put this in a common physical layer, and they need to know each other. They need to route data from one point to another, right? And we said that is the holy grail of interoperability. Great. We delivered that in 2006 with our Zigbee mesh network. All right. But then people started deploying. These things started getting to a network. It's like, oh, wait a second. I'm trying to get a temperature from a temperature sensor. We're on the same network, but he's giving me a number that I don't understand. It's like, oh, okay, we actually need to talk a common language at the application layer so that things above the same network then, give numbers in the same format, in the same scale, things like that. It's like, oh, okay, we need an application layer. Okay, so we work on that, we deliver that, right? And then things now started being able to talk at an application layer, understanding commands, on, off, go up, go down, give me your temperature. Oh, great, we have delivered interoperability, right? Then it's like, oh, well, wait a second, I got other things here that are connected on a different network, but they can't talk at the same application level. Shouldn't we standardize at that level? Now we have mobile devices, right? Why don't we move that bar of interoperability, up into the devices themselves? What about the cloud? So that's what I mean. I think it's a journey, and we have progressed significantly as an industry to deliver interoperability. Again, to the point that I can go and just bring in new devices, and they work within my existing network. But we need to continue to work further to also make it happen across connectivity methods, across clouds, across service providers, and everything else. So I mean, the journey continues, but we're pretty far down the road as it is.
That's awesome. So it's a journey for you and not a milestone. By the way, if you're just joining us, I'm Robert Schmid, the Chief IoT Technologist for Deloitte, and you're watching Coffee with Mr. IoT. Today, I'm talking to Victor Berrios, the CTO of Zigbee, or the Zigbee Alliance. So Victor, let me ask you this differently. You are the CTO of the Zigbee Alliance. Can't you just go and say that's the standard and you guys got to follow?
That's a good question. And to be honest, some days you feel, you wish you'd be able to do that. But for a standard to be adoptable, right, and implementable, it just cannot be that way, right? That'd be no different than a company creating a technology and say, this is the way everybody should do it, right? It's my way or the highway. The reality is that for standards to be universally adopted, it has to be developed in a cooperative nature between all the players. And that's what the Alliance brings in, creates this forum where, rivals in the industry can come together in one room and actually develop technology that be universally for both of them. Now, that also means that the standard has to be to a point, again, that is benefits everybody, but also allows to have innovation on top of it, so that you can still carry differentiating factors from manufacturer to manufacturer, but at the basic things, right, everything will work together, right? If you create a light and I a switch, it does not matter that it came from different places. I should be able to turn it on and off, right? The basics of the products should be 100% interoperable. Now, if I get the complete set from you, and your switch now it's voice control or MIME control or some other way,
Mind control?
I'm just saying, maybe you have some technology for that, right? But that would be an additional differentiating factor for your kit. But, right, you're still able to work with everybody else that defines the standard. So no, unfortunately, it's not like I sit in my office and define the standard and say, this is the way it's going to be. We basically set the roadmap. We manage, we create the environment where all these companies can come together, work on the standard. We help them with the tools they need to develop the standard. The testing procedures, we manage our relationship with our network of test service providers so that we have a place where people can go get these products tested, and then we run the back-end part of the certification program as well. So it's more, an enabler for our members, right, to come in and create the standard, and then we take that and we run the day-to-day activities about rolling out the standards through our 400-member companies, and to educate the marketplace as well in terms of how our technology works and why they need to adopt it.
You made an interesting point, right? You bring together rivals into one place and have them talk to each other. And, I got to tell you, every year I've done this now the second year, and it's great fun for me, but it's also very humbling because, often I walk into rooms and I'm the most technical person in the room. For sure, when I get to my home, I'm the one that actually fixes all the stuff in my house. And then I walk into the room with many of your member firms there, many of the rivals. And gosh, there's true rocket scientists there. We often joke about this, but there's true rocket scientists. How do you feel with all these smart people around you? And maybe can you mention a few of your member names, not to talk about who was there this week, but really more about who are those rivals, who are those players in the field that are all members of Zigbee, because it's a very impressive list.
Oh, it is an incredibly impressive list. I mean, we had our last member meeting was about a month ago in Athens, Greece, and I'm sitting there in a room, and I have folks, from Signify, formerly Philips Lighting, folks from Amazon, from SmartThings from Samsung, homes from Xfinity Home and Comcast. And yes, they're all rocket scientists, like you said, and we're all there, discussing technology and the way the standard should work and how we take it a step forward. So to me, it is humbling, like it was for you. I mean, it was quite shocking, but also to me, it's an incredible learning opportunity. Where else, right, can I go into a room with a whole bunch of PhDs and actually start debating technology and how things should work and the implications of it, and just looking at use cases and how we want complex systems to work with folks that do this for a living, that are sitting in the lab just thinking 5-10 years down the road. So it's an incredible opportunity just to be there, absorb, and every once in a while be able to contribute, and having them look at you go like, oh, that was not a too bad idea, Victor. So I mean, it's an incredible opportunity. But yes, it's also good to see again those rivals, some of those companies that on a day-to-day are trying to steal market share from each other, but that come together in a room that understand, look, we can fight for how big is the pie that I'm going to get out of the market, but if we all work to make the whole pie bigger, by definition, whatever size of the slice I get, I'm still getting more pie in my mouth. And that's really what it is. It's about helping the market take off, the experience for the consumers to be better. And then the rising tide lifts all boats. And that's what a lot of companies too, when they join in and are a little hesitant, right? I'm joining in, but I don't know what I'm getting myself into. And they get into these member meetings and we get in these technical discussions, that they understand that in reality, we're here basically to make the industry better, to make the smart home experience a reality for more people. And if we succeed in that common goal, then our individual company goals, will stand a better chance then to also be successful.
It's really interesting to me, right? You talk about how they go and say, "Oh, that's a good idea," and you collaborate with all these really smart people from a variety of leading companies. And the thing that always gets me is, if you remember on the second day, I had them close their eyes and really think of what they're passionate about. And that's not what typical scientists do. And yet, I still get them to come along on a journey with us, and it always really makes me feel good that we find common grounds to do this and that they still follow along. It's a really interesting group. So I have a different question for you. I want to switch topics for a second. Big shift up, I don't know how long ago, not too long ago, where Z-Wave, another body that did standards, was purchased by Scilabs and now isn't an open body anymore, but it's actually a part of a private company. Tell me a little bit about this. What's your take on that? What is that going to change for you, and what is it going to change for us as consumers?
Yeah. So actually, it was close to a year ago when the sale was announced, and then it closed. I think it was late first quarter this year, early second quarter. So it's been a good 6-7 months. Yes, when basically Silicon Labs acquired all the assets and technology from Sigma Design, which was the underlying company behind the Z-Wave standard. Overall, I think for the industry, it's a good thing. Silicon Labs has historically been a company that believes in standards. Not only are they a sitting board member of the Zigbee Alliance, but they're also a sitting board member of the Thread Group, and they participate in a number of other standards development organizations. So inherently, right, they saw obviously some business value in that transaction, but I expect now that they're looking at that particular technology and how it plays in the overall IoT ecosystem, not as an individual player, but as a part of a larger solution. At the Zigbee Alliance, we've always believed that there will not be the one connectivity method that would rule the house. There are too many different use cases. There are too many different things that need to be transported into the house for a single technology to dominate them all, because the thing that gives you the high speed you do to stream audio and video will not be very conscious of the battery power concerns of small sensing devices, right? So you're going to end up with a handful of technologies that collectively serve the needs of the house, and as long as then we can work as a collection of technologies to provide that experience, the better for the consumer. So I think now the underlying technology being part of a company that subscribes to this vision will just means that, okay, now we can work on coalescing on that handful of technologies, and then again work at a higher level to just deliver an experience to the consumers, so that they don't have to worry about like, oh, do I have one connecting method, 3 connecting methods? Look, these things we have them pan out. If you have these services, we'll do it. All the plumbing underneath the house is taken care of. You just work on handling your experience.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. It was great to see you work together with them also. And so I really enjoyed that. So I want to close with a generic question. You're the CTO, Chief Technology Officer, and I am a new consumer. I want to go and start smartifying my house. Where do you recommend I start? What are good things for me to start to make my house smarter?
I think in general, I would ask you, okay, what do you want to do? You want to make your house smart, but what does smart means to you? Because it means different things to different people, right? It could be as simple as like, hey, my water heater broke 2 years ago and I have to redo the whole basement. I want to make it smart so that that doesn't happen again. Okay, good. The other one could be is like, hey, my aging parent is moving in with me. I need to be more aware of their activities. I need to make the house more livable for them. I want to make a smart house basically to help me with that.
Are you going to tell me now, is your answer, it depends?
Yes, of course.
Come on.
But in general.
So I don't know. My answer is I don't know. I just want to get started.
Okay, if you just want to get started, very honestly, I would say the easiest thing for you to install, play with, and then get familiar would be connected lighting. Why? Because everybody's familiar. We're unscrewing a light bulb when it burns out and putting in a new one. So that's as hard as installation as it's going to get. So if you go get connected bulbs, you do that. You connect it. You download an app on your phone. You connect all the, you can get these kits that are prepared even as well. So literally, you just screw in light bulbs, download an app, create an account. Next thing you know, you're controlling lighting with your phone. You can set it up for timing to start at, to turn on at a certain time, turn off on another's. You can set up rule if your favorite team wins. The team colors are being showed through the light. It's the quickest way really to get into the IoT, right? Because just everybody's familiar with the installation base, and you can start getting familiar, with latency, how it works, the things you can do, the rules you can set, and then from there you can start out. I think lighting would be my recommendation as a first step to get into smart home. Easier to install, easier to play, and then you can start branching out for specific use cases.
That's awesome. I really appreciate it. This whole light by my favorite sports team, I'm still debating if this is something I want or not. I just redid my house, but I'm kind of liking the idea, and I'm kind of worried that my family around me is gonna go nuts.
It depends what your team is too, because if then you don't get the color turning on very often, then it's just devastating.
Victor, any closing thoughts before I say thank you?
Well, I mean, again, I think we're living in an exciting age. I mean, people have been talking about smart home for a long time. I mean, when you look again when we started 16 years ago. I mean, that's a long time in technology days. But it's very exciting where we are now, because we have seen as an alliance, as an industry, the last 2-3 years, the growth in devices, the growth in penetration of users really start taking off, right? So we feel that we're right at that cusp, right? The classical hockey stick, we're right there at the knee where we start seeing things growing. We see bigger players in the industry putting their name behind connected devices and seeing the future and starting to participate in growing the industry. So, it's interesting time that we're living, and I think we're as close as we ever been to the Jetsons.
That's awesome. Victor, thank you so much for being on the show. We're coming to an end here for our coffee break today. Thank you so much. Please join me again next Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, for another coffee with Mr. IoT. And by the way, if you missed any part of today's show or previous shows, come check out my YouTube channel. And with that, have a great Friday. Bye.
Thank you, Robert. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.